Hey YouTube, this is David back again with another quick review, this time of the 2013 film Gravity, starring George Clooney, Sandra Bullock, directed by Alfonso Cuarón, but mainly starring the character of Ryan Stone, portrayed by Sandra Bullock. The film follows her throughout just very closely, and I want to say just from the outset, the reason I'm doing this review, even though I haven't seen this at the theater lately, I did see it at the end of last year, and I enjoyed it probably more than any other film that I saw last year at the movies, because as I watched this movie, knowing in that it was going to be this situational thing following this character portrayed by Sandra Bullock, that the character's name would be Ryan Stone, I would find out, but I just knew going in that this is some kind of disaster in space flick, and it's about it's a survival movie basically. But in the end, when I saw the film, I realized it was so much more than that. That it really was a character piece, and that basically I just really enjoy this movie. And just from the outset, before I start talking about some of the particulars of the film of why I like it, I just want to say, if you don't want to stick around for the whole review, that please see this movie. As I watched this movie, it was confirmed that I've only seen it once at the theater, which, even though I've only seen it once, it's a movie that I can honestly say I'll never forget. That's the kind of movie this is. As I watched it, I thought to myself, this is a good use of film. This is a good movie. This is a good film. So I highly encourage you to see it, whether or not you like science fiction or not, or drama or anything. This is a good movie, and at only 91 minutes, it's not a long drawn out thing. There are a couple of parts that kind of go a little bit slow, but then it's right back into the death-defying, what does this character have to do to survive in space. And so at this point, I'm going to get into some of the things that made me like it, and probably going to be a very short review, but I just want to say why I like this film and why I've chosen to just up and do a quick review on it as opposed to other movies, as I try and add movie reviews to this channel. Gravity was a film that really caught my attention. It captured my imagination as far as what a film can do. It's one of those special kind of things with me, to follow this character and to learn more about Ryan Stone as you go through the movie, talking with the astronaut George Clooney. The character is Matt Kowalski. We'll just call him Matt for the rest of this review. To follow her and learn about her through this film during this death-defying survival in outer space movie was just really something. The movie, of course, starts with some maintenance being done, I think, to a satellite in outer space, and the way they have that first shot, it's one shot, one consecutive shot, no takes. It's just one continuous stream for like 15 minutes, and the dialogue is just going nonstop, and they're talking to one another in outer space, asking about each other as Matt and Ryan. And also there was another astronaut, I can't remember his name. Was it the character Ordo? I believe so. And also some other astronauts in the space shuttle that you don't see until after this disaster, because apparently this field of debris comes along and destroys their space shuttle, and just completely wipes them out, with the only two survivors there being Matt and Ryan, Sandra Bullock and George Clooney. And even up to that point, right before the disaster, the way that she talks, her tone, the way she answers his questions as he's just trying to make friendly conversation, and say, because she was like a school teacher or something like that, or medical researcher. I even forget what she did. It was just the journey and finding out about her tragic past with her daughter. That's the thing that'll stick with me forever. Some of the little details have kind of faded, but it's just how she changes in this movie. The character Ryan is what will be in my mind forever, and that's what the film Gravity. That's the really memorable thing about it for me. So it was really good in that you learned a little bit about her even before the accident, which happens early in the movie, and then it's just her and George Clooney trying to get from space station to space station using just the thrusters from his space suit. And again, the special effects in this movie are just top notch. I understand that years of effort went into the creation of these space sequences and the floating in outer space things and everything. And it was really worth it, because especially to be able to have seen it in the theater was a real treat for me. Excuse me. But yeah, unfortunately, the character Matt, George Clooney's character, he doesn't exactly die. You don't see him die, but it's one of those things where it's a constant. Will you hit the mark with your thrust, and or are you going too fast to catch things in outer space and all the gravity? It's the gravity of it that is kind of tearing her life apart constantly. You find out that she was kind of a changed person after the sudden and tragic death of her daughter, of all things, on a playground, just slipping and hitting her head on the merry-go-round or something like that, and how she died from that. And so she hasn't been the same since. And something that's really interesting about George Clooney's character Matt is that he manages to talk her into telling him about that as they're floating in outer space, saying, you need to open up, we got to talk about something. And that's when she ends up talking about what happened to her daughter, and how I really like it that they just follow her throughout this whole movie. They don't even have, I was thinking about this, like if I had done this movie, would I have done something different? And because I want to get into film one day, I actually think in terms of that, like, would I have done that way, or and different things. Maybe it's a bit presumptuous of me, but it's just I'm already trying to learn about film, and the way that I see movies done, I often think, I like this because, and I wonder if it can be done differently, or I wonder if I could make a similar film one day and do such and such. But that's all beside the point. I like it that I decided that I liked it that they didn't even have flashbacks. You understood everything just from Sandra Bullock's talking about it, her dialogue, the way she delivered it. It was great. Some great acting on her part, and George Clooney. And so I really liked that it was just all them constantly through this film. And I thought this was really something. This was an accomplishment, a film achievement in my view, to do this way. And so, unfortunately, it's either they both die or he lets himself drift into space because they're going too fast to catch the space station and so forth. And it's a really sad moment, but another good thing about George Clooney's character Matt is that he's someone who's extremely comfortable in his own skin, being a pilot and all that. I'm sure maybe is part of his character arc, but it's just he understands that he understands, and he's kind of glad that he's in that situation and not her, because she's trying to frantically to try and save him, to try and get enough of this cable long enough to be able to so that he won't have to float off into space and stuff. And it's just because he's out of thrust and he's almost out of oxygen and stuff, or she's almost out of oxygen and he's out of thrust for moving around in space in his suit. And a really good line in the movie that I remember is he says, as she's trying frantically to still try and think of a way, or still not want him to have to cut himself loose to the point where they won't be able to retrieve him in outer space. just won't be able to get back. Gravity will take him, the lack of gravity will just take him on into space, or maybe he'll end up entering the atmosphere or something, who knows. The way he says, after all they've talked about her constant, not so much a constant grieving, but not really living because of the grief that she remembers with the loss of her daughter. The way he says, right as he's saying that he's having to let himself go so that he doesn't drag her into space too, the way he says, you've got to let go. I'll never forget this movie because of things like that. And so he lets himself go, and then she's scrambling to get inside. She gets inside this little space station dealy, and I forget where they are at that point. At the International Space Station? I think it's at the International Space Station. And he's continually talking to her on the radio until he loses radio contact. And she tries to talk to him and stuff, and she sees, and they do a good job of showing just a little blip on the screen, a little piece of white material floating in outer space until you know it's him, and he's talking until it kind of goes to static. And the way she says, come on, keep talking to me, keep talking to me, you haven't shut up since we've been on this mission, you can't stop talking to me now, I'm going to be able to come get you, just and then the way it goes to blackness, like he floated so far you can't see him anymore, and then she realized that he really is gone. It was just it was really sad. It was very sad. She's trying to get stuff to work in this space station to get back to Earth, escape pod, rescue pod, something or other like that. And again, I haven't seen the movie in months. This is all things I just remember from seeing it in the theater, how that nothing wanted to work for her, like whether it was no fuel, no battery, something or other. And the thing is, the spy satellite or whatever that exploded and caused this chain reaction of a debris field that's orbiting the Earth and tearing up other things, is coming right back around again because it's orbiting the Earth in the gravitational field. It's orbiting it, and so it's coming around again to destroy this space station too that she's in. She finally gets into this pod, and she's basically giving up, and she's trying to listen to these radio frequencies, and she thinks she hears something in Chinese. And there is one scene that kind of drags on in the movie. It's that she thinks she's found somebody, but he's not speaking English. She can't understand him, and ends up making dog noises as she's trying to, because Matt is gone, she's all alone, and she's just trying to make like this person can speak to her, maybe not even help her, but just speak to her. And he ends up, I don't know, maybe it's some broadcast. Anyway, it sounds like a barking noise, and then she goes woof woof and just all this stuff, and it's kind of a it's an interesting scene for sure, and I didn't so much mind it. It's just it did seem to go on for a little while, and then all of a sudden there's Matt's character, George Clooney's character again, Matt, beating on the window outside of the pod. And again, this should have given it away right away. The way he releases the hatch and climbs in, you're like, oh no, she's going to die, get sucked out, or the oxygen, she's going to suffocate or blow up or whatever would happen. And he climbs back in, and you're like, he made it. How did he get back? This is weird. And so he starts to talk to her, and even flip lights on, I think, in the pod, which she thought there was no power in it. And it's like, because it's her subconscious, you realize that's doing all this, that's having these thoughts and these images of him. Because after he says to her, do you want to live or don't you? It's like the memory of him, a recent friend who's now gone, who tried to help her and talking about some things that needed to be talked about. And in this death-defying situation, this life or death situation, saying, do you want to live or don't you? You know how to fly this thing. I've flown it 100 times or whatever. And so she's being reminded of what she needs to do to power something on and finally get somewhere. And then the way the camera pans over to her, she's thinking about all that he said, and then pans back over to where he was sitting, and he's not there anymore. You realize, well, Matt really is gone. She was just thinking all that in her head. It was another one of those scenes that I'll never forget it. Kind of depressing and sad in the moment, and yet in the overall story, you realize what's going on, and you realize that this is her trying to regain, trying to use gravity to get back down to Earth, whereas she hasn't really been herself in so long. And so she manages to get to the Chinese space station before the gravity field really tears up everything. The debris field really tears up everything. Using a, she jumps out of this thing, out of this pod with its velocity just going and going to get into the space station using a fire extinguisher, the thrust of a fire extinguisher, and I thought that was neat, that part of the movie, using that to get around. And then the debris field, of course, is coming down to destroy the Chinese space station, and she's trying to get things in there working and use that as a escape vessel with its heat shield to be able to re-enter Earth's atmosphere. As even the space station itself, I think, is torn up and it's falling from its orbit down into Earth, and it starts to burn up, and it's a really, really neat scene. And by then she's completely determined. She's had so many of these thoughts, and you followed her thinking and her situation and what she's having to work through on more than one level in her life at that point, as she's trying to survive and thinking about life itself and what it means to her in general, and not just in this horrible situation. That she's changed. She says she's ready. I think she even says this scene about how she's saying how she's ready to die if that's what's needed, and that she's going to be with her daughter, or else she's going to live and finally understand that she's having all these good thoughts about her daughter now. She's finally, something has changed, and this is the great thing about the movie. It's like they portray it as you can see it's changed. You can see by the way that she is and the thing that she's talking, that she's literally talked it all out during the course of the movie and thought it all out, so that she's now dealt properly with the loss of her daughter, and that she's either going to go and be with her if she dies, or else she's going to live and remember her for as her daughter, and actually be able to move on with her life and actually be happy again in her memories, if she should survive. And again, the last bit of the movie is about how she crashes down to Earth, escape pod. You're reminded of Apollo 13, or I was, that thing landing in the water, and then she climbs out of it. Granted, in this movie, she almost drowns in Earth. When she gets down to Earth in the water, but she makes it out. She climbs onto the shore. She's in some jungle-ish, some desert place, like some probably not anywhere in the United States, we'll say that. And you don't know where she is in the world, but the way Sandra Bullock, she after a while she picks herself up, and the way she's standing on her 2 feet, and then as she starts to walk and the music has changed and the movie ends, you realize this character has just been on a journey, and you went on a journey with these characters. And just to see the change that took place in this character, I guess the thing, now that I think about it, that I liked about the film is that there really was a change in a person's character in this film, whereas usually I've been seeing, and we're used to seeing, either empty comedies or dramas that are to this or to that, or action movies that don't really pack a deep punch. But to see a film like this and to see a character who was changed, it was just, that alone made it unique. But the fact that it's called Gravity and it's about this outer space disaster, it's just, it was a good use of film, a great movie. And I highly encourage you to see it. If you're at all interested, this is one of those I say, please go and see it. Get the DVD, rent it, whatever you got to do, because it's worth a watch, most certainly. I'm not sure what else I can say right now. I think I've hit the all the high points that I wanted to. Anyway, Gravity's a good movie, and thank you for watching or for listening to my review of it, and we'll see you in the next film review. Take care.